you must believe in the future, and you must assume that you will get to where you're going.
When you just keep doing that, eventually you get to the point where you've made enough calls, you've sent enough emails, you've done enough sales calls, you've done enough onboarding calls. There are the people that know about reviews, know about the importance of reviews, and most of those people already have something they're doing to get reviews.
Most of what we want in life, we can achieve by just continuing to keep
Mm,
doing what we're doing.
mm.
But a lot of people turn around at some point and say, why am I doing this? And here we go with Clay Lawrence, the rock star of reviews. Don't get him confused with anything else, but he has become one of the most standout SaaS guys in our planet of high level, right? We all live in this little world of, I guess you could call it blue, yellow, green. And we have, I think, one of the most interesting stories that's come across my purview. And of course, we all kind of know the same people in this little world. Um, Clay, I want to ask you, how do you make money?
Yeah, for sure. So I white label, go high level to local business owners and charge them anywhere from 100 to 300 bucks a month just to help them get Google reviews. So that's it. They don't, most of them don't even log in. I just get integrated with whatever systems they're already using and get it connected to high level. And I help automate the process of requesting, responding, and repurposing Google reviews. And that's it.
And so, how many customers now do you have in your little bastion or your little pig pen?
Yeah, we've got about 172 this week. I added two more this week. So
Okay. 172 customers, typical average price point probably between what, 100 to 300, somewhere in there?
yeah, my highest plan is 279, but just one thing that I talk about on my videos a lot is like pretty transparent about how things have just been messy. So out of those 170, there's probably 10 or 15 different prices thrown around there that I was testing and trying and stuff. And so I think my average per month revenue of a client is about 180 bucks. So
Well,
that's
it's
my
okay.
average monthly revenue.
Right. So creeping around like 25 to 30,000 a month in MRR with very limited, and I would expect to have not too much of a cost to generate that revenue, right? Which is
Yeah.
really the goal here, right? We all sit here, and I've battled this myself. I've built an agency, I've built a consulting thing, I've done some SaaS, I've done some, all these affiliate gigs. And at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, what comes very easily to me and probably to you is putting customers on something and then not having to talk to them ever again, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
For
happen in
sure.
the SMMA world. In the
Yeah.
SMMA world, you are going to the mat every month
Yeah.
if you are not producing, right?
Yeah.
So for those who are listening, what would you say to them about making 25, 30,000, whatever the number is, and having decent margin, about what
Yeah.
your experience has been in thinking through that process? Because I know this didn't come overnight to you, because I've watched a few of your things. Maybe tell
Yeah.
people who, or tell a person who is listening or watching this, watcher or viewer, about, your sort of level of default happiness now, as opposed to where you were maybe when you started a few years ago. And I know you
Yeah.
can relate to all the people who may inevitably watch this, which is that
Yeah.
no matter what we say, you still have to get a pick and an axe and really chop this mountain.
Yeah. No, for sure. 100%. I think that in terms of my day-to-day life, I think I said this on an interview with Mike Cooch, but the biggest thing for me now is like I don't worry about going to the grocery store and like getting, grass-fed beef or like buying a steak or something, or or like if we want to go out to dinner, we just go out to dinner and it's like a big stress. That's the biggest thing for me because that stuff has always stressed me out because I've been a relatively frugal guy and I'm still am very frugal, comparatively. But that's just the nicest thing. Just be like, yeah, we want to go to Chick-fil-A. Let's go get Chick-fil-A. Hey, let's do it. It's $20. It's not a big deal. And so that's been really nice. But in terms of just like my life overall, I think for me, it's I finally gotten a little bit of that feeling of like what it's like and rewarded for waiting and just persevering and doing the same thing for like 16 or 17 months, because I started doing digital marketing stuff, trying to make money online when I was 15 or 16. So I'm 22 now. So it's been 6 years, but the first 4.5 years were really hard. I wasn't really going hard on it until I got to college. And then when I was in college, I was like, I'm here now. Just got to get the degree. I only had 2 years left. And I was like, I'm not going to focus on school at all. I'm going to do the bare minimum, and I'm going to spend 30, 40 hours a week trying to build this on the side. And so that's when I really went all in on it. And geez, it was just brutal, you know? And like we talked about a second ago, like there's so many options now with SMMA or SaaS or affiliate or whatever, almost makes it harder for the people in the beginning because there's so much opportunity and you don't know what it is, when the reality is that any of them will work. It's just the one that you stick and you stick with, and you do it for years on end, and then you can see that result. So I have a little bit of a little bit more peace than I had 2 years ago, knowing that, oh wow, so yeah, when I focus on the one thing for 16 months, you actually get pretty good results out of that. And if you obsess over it. And so that's probably the biggest thing for me in just terms of how it's changed my life.
Here's a question I ask. Did the niche pick you or did you pick the niche?
Yeah. So in terms of Google reviews, like Google reviews being my little niche, I really haven't focused on Google reviews for a specific niche. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I've just been pretty broad in terms of the niche I serve. But in terms of the service I provide, very, very niche. And what it was when I was in college, I was building my SMMA, like a digital marketing agency, typical charging 1,000 to 2,500 bucks a month to serve these clients, and I did it the wrong way, where I was serving anybody and everybody that would give me a credit card, and I would do whatever they wanted me to do. I mean, I literally had people that wanted me to build out all their SOPs and video tutorials for their new employees. And I was like, oh, and I built an app for it. And I was like, oh, I can just do that through High Level, because High Level, you can like put the app on your phone or whatever. And so like that's an example of the randomest thing that I did, because I was like, yeah, I just said yes to money, And so I was doing ads, I was doing videos, I was doing social media, I was doing SEO, whatever. And, I was just really stressed. When I focused on one client, I feel like my other clients were falling behind. It made it hard to sell new clients, because I was like, I can't take anybody else on. I feel like some of my clients aren't even getting great results as it is. And so, I talk to my wife about business all the time, and she is just like, well, you do the Google review stuff for all of them, and they all like that, and you can set that up, and like, it's not a lot of work. So why don't you just rebrand and like just do Google reviews? And I kind of played around with it, and I kind of had always been like, that's never gonna work. It's just like you're just doing it through High Level, and it's not gonna work. But anyways, I did it. It did work.
Well, good thing for your wife to be as patient as she is, because this is what you and I have gone through this, which is that, like a baby, it needs gestation time. And most of what we want in life, we can achieve by just continuing to keep
Mm,
doing what we're doing.
mm,
But a lot of people turn around at some point and say, why am I doing this?
mm,
And there's a energy flow that happens. And I'll get into my Yoda stance right now, which is that you must believe in the future and
yeah,
you must assume that you will get to where you're going. And then,
yeah,
mind wise, if you're there, you'll be amazed at the things that will fall into place on your way. And I think these are things that probably you experienced at some point where you're like, I think I can get to 30,000. I know I can get to 30,000. I am at 30,000,
yeah,
but it was more, I think, for you, especially probably within the first 6 to, let's just say, 8 months, when
mm,
the customers themselves didn't believe in you because you didn't believe in yourself. And
mm,
then there was a point where you said, okay, wait a minute, let's turn this around. And I want to ask you about that confidence factor.
mm,
I've
mm,
continually thought that this entire business is based off of the person who's the owner and their confidence in delivery and acceptance of
mm,
patients, and
mm,
also in realization that goals are delivered but not on time.
Hmm.
What's your feeling on those thoughts?
Yeah, I think that it was really hard when you're getting started just with confidence and stuff because looking back on it now, I don't do this, but if I wanted to, like in the beginning, when I was making cold calls and sending out 100 or 200 emails and cold text a day to like local business owners in my area, when you don't have any clients, you don't have as many clients, you don't have that, that great results. When you get somebody screaming at you, cussing you out, when you get them telling you this is stupid, a lot of times you're gonna like it's gonna mess your day. For me personally, it messed my day up. It would get me kind of flustered, and then I'd go back to YouTube. But I got to do something different. This is hard. This isn't gonna work, right? But what
Yes.
what happened is that like when you just keep doing that, eventually you get to the point where you've made enough calls, you've sent enough emails, you've done enough sales calls, you've done enough onboarding calls. When you're like, no, like somebody tells you this is dumb on the phone, they don't want it or whatever. You're like, no, like you're wrong. This works. Maybe it's not for you, but that's all good. There's millions of other business owners that need it. And you just move on and it doesn't bother your day and you can just laugh about it. But it's hard to do that when you have zero or a couple clients and you just think the business model's wrong. And it's hard too when you're just getting started because you're on the front lines, you're doing frontline level work, like a sales rep or something, dealing with all that crap. And then you also have to put on the business owner hat and build the business. And so when you're going back and forth between that all day, you let the crap that you receive from the calls or from the customer support or whatever affect how you build the business. And so eventually they're like, if you just keep showing up, keep doing the reps, I love the way Alex Ramsey says, like, do so much work, it'd be unreasonable for you not to hit your goals. Like, reach out to so many people, it'd be unreasonable for you not to do your goals or spend enough money on ads so everybody knows about you, whatever it is. Then once you get to that point, eventually you slowly just start building proof. Like, this does work. This does work. I do a good job. My clients get great results. And then when somebody yells at you on the phone, you can just say, oh, okay, on to the next. It doesn't bother you. So
So,
it's really hard. You just got to keep showing up.
okay, so let's talk about some different topics which I'm fascinated in. One is you seem to have gotten to this point with more grit than ads, right? It sounds like most of your activity was outbound outreach, forcing the equation, maybe even physically going to people's offices. I'm curious, like, just give me a little bit of like, hey, this is where we started, but now
Yeah.
here's how because I'm curious about your
Yeah.
acquisition strategy. And then what does it typically cost now to acquire a customer if you have those stats?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started, it was all local because there's a lot of people in the community that say it, but if you can just sit down with somebody or say you can meet them at a certain coffee shop in your area, that's going to build so much trust and it's going to differentiate you from the other 99% of people cold emailing, cold calling them, right? And so I just kind of use that as my advantage. Say I'm just getting started. I'm new to this. I need these people to trust me. And so I'm going to start locally so I can build the case studies, build the results so that when I do go out broad, I have the proof. I have, some reps under my belt to have the confidence to do that. So in the beginning, what I did was I grabbed my phone and I went through my contact list, and I went through my contact list of about 900 people, and I just texted them and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I strike up a conversation, say, here's what I'm doing, and then say, do you know anybody that would be interested? And then I go do the same thing with Instagram. I mean, I did the stuff that Alex Hormozy says, just message everybody that's kind of in your warm circle. And then once I kind of got done with my network of people that already trust me, then I just went on Google Maps in my local area and just started putting business owners' phone numbers into my phone and seeing if it was blue, like if it was an iPhone, right? And so what I would do is I would look at their Google business profile, I would see if they have a bad review or something, and I'd say, hey, Matt, saw that bad review from Sally. Just want to let you know I reported it. ... People are crazy. LOL. And I was like, hey, how are you generating Google reviews right now? Or what are you doing to get Google reviews right now? And so just kind of like getting my foot in the door, showing I know who they are. When you do it through an iPhone, you can like do a voice memo or a video or something to make it like look really real and one-to-one. And so that was how I, going contact list, my audience, my network to local businesses in my area. That was kind of how I got my first 30, 40, 50. And then once I got that, I started running ads locally. That was probably how I got my first 30. And then I started running ads locally with the businesses in my area that I got results for. So saying, hey, I took this business in our area that everybody knows from here to here with reviews. And that kind of got me to probably 60, 65. And then from there, with all the proof that I had, from the 60 clients I had, I started doing ads nationally, which was really hard. I mean, that was a really big transition because your show up rate goes down. Your my cost per lead went up, and you kind of have to really build that trust gap because these people they don't have anything in common with you. You're just some random kid on the internet to them. And so from there, it was really from 60. It was really ads and referrals that got me to kind of 170. And so I'd probably say over half my clients, the 170 plus, have come from referrals, just word of mouth. And the ads have just kind of been the thing to keep things steady, just keep sales calls on the calendar or whatever. And one big customer acquisition channel that produced a lot of referrals was basically going in Facebook groups where I know I can serve people well. Facebook groups of home service business owners, or they use a certain software I know we can integrate with. Find a group where all these people that hang out we can serve well, and then find the really loud people. Find like the group moderators. Find like the people that are responding to all the posts. They're posting every day. Offer to get them Google reviews for free. And then naturally, those people are just loud. You're not even gonna have to ask them to share about your stuff. If they're just the type of people that are always chiming in, as soon as you get them 100 reviews or crazy amount of reviews and you do a good job for them, then anytime somebody asks about reviews in that community, they're going to mention you. And so I have 3 clients off the top of my head who I've kind of pursued because I saw they were kind of the loud customers, and they have each given me over 10 customers, just from getting those people. So it's like well worth doing their service for free for 3 months or 6 months or a year even, for them just to bring people your way. So that's kind of, and then cost to acquire customer. It was about $160 to acquire a customer when I was running ads, and I was doing a really good job with following up and calling the leads and stuff like that.
Right.
Then I kind of got trapped in like hey, I want to sell people on a webinar or do a VSL or something, and it got a lot more expensive, but I was spending less time on sales calls. So yeah.
A lot of people look at this and they wonder about the opportunity size. You talk to a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. You've talked to probably 1,000 people or more at this point
Yeah.
about this. And I would assume there's one of 3 things. One, they already have some sort of aggregator or review widget, and
Mm-hmm.
they like hang up on you and like, oh, I already have that. Goodbye. The second thing
Mm-hmm.
is they might not understand
Mm-hmm.
that this is like available, and that, that's probably more of a discussion about education. And then the third
Mm-hmm.
person, which I would think you'd run into quite a bit, which would be someone who's not necessarily doesn't care, but has limited interest in sort of like understanding the value of it, right? So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that, just because I'm curious, because I'm sure people see this as an opportunity, or someone who's watching or listening to this is like, I could go get reviews. And it's like, well, you could.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not as easy as you might think. So maybe tell me about those 3 people I explained, and maybe there's a 4th or 5th that you have, just briefly what you see.
Yeah, for sure. There are the people that know about reviews, know about the importance of reviews, and most of those people already have something they're doing to get reviews, right? So they already have another software or whatever. Those are some of the easiest sales for us because we tell people we are a service, not a software. Like one of the biggest things I learned from Matt is like if you emphasize the software, you're devaluing yourself. You emphasize the service, you're increasing your value, and people are going to expect to pay more. And so a lot of times, I'd probably say half our clients have come from other, like we're already using another software for reviews, and we just tell them how we're better, and we have like lots of like kind of unique selling propositions to tell them that,
May I
one thing
interrupt
we
you
do is
for 1 second? I'm sorry.
yeah.
When you say that you're better,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that a lot of people are just not using the software that they've, right? So that's what
Yeah.
I find 99% of the time, which is that people have the software. I go, great. How many reviews are you getting? They're like, it doesn't work. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
secret is that no one really uses anything unless you force it through service. And that's a great answer.
Exactly. And that's what, when we run into, like, when you run in, nowadays, we run into a lot of people that use a CRM that already has a built-in review request feature, right? And so it might be sending an email after the service, or, maybe it might even be sending a text too. But the problem is that as all of these CRMs, build in this, feature, people, review platforms get more popular, people are going to get banner blindness to the average, hey, would you recommend our service? Click this link. Very boring text, nothing differentiated, not personalized, anything like that. And so, one, you've got to have a good integration with their system. So a lot of times they're using a different Podium, a Bird Eye, a Nice Job, or something, but they're not even integrated with their CRM or their booking system, so that their customers aren't even getting review requests. They got review requests when they got set up, when they imported their CSV file of clients, but not anymore. And so that's a really easy sell for us to say, hey, we're going to make sure we're going to build a custom integration through Zapier or whatever. And we're going to make sure we're getting your customers in the system and everyone's getting a review request. The second thing is we send out personalized images. So when we send out a text, we can put their end customer's name on a photo. And so if they work with Sally and they're like an HVAC technician, we can send a photo of their technician like holding an iPad or on the job, and we can put Sally's name on that image to kind of get their attention and help increase the review conversion rate a little bit. So yeah.
So the second one you were saying, maybe the person's undereducated or doesn't understand. How often do you run into that?
Yeah, no, it's common. I think those are probably the hardest ones to get on the phone, right? Because you kind of have to stumble across them. Your marketing and messaging normally doesn't really touch base with them, doesn't strike a chord. They don't know the importance of reviews, so they're less likely to click on the ad or less likely to respond to the email or the call or whatever. And so when we do run into those, we do find it's just like you have to make the connection, right? So hey, you want more customers? Yes or no? Yes. You like money, right? So make more customers. Great. Well, if you get more reviews, you're going to rank higher on Google. More people are going to find you, and more people are going to choose you because you look better, you have better reviews, and so now you make more money. And so it's just kind of like figuring out the most efficient, best way to make that connection for kind of the uneducated people that don't, business owners that don't know the value of them, right? And then I think the third person you said that, what did you say the third person was? Just not interested at all, or?
Well, the third person would be someone who says, I don't need it. Like they know what
Yeah,
it is and they say, I don't
yeah,
need it. I'm just curious on the, if people say that. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that there tends to be people who aren't aware of the problem.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny, and I'll give you an example, is that I was talking to a customer this morning. I said, do you realize that people advertise your brand name in Google, right?
Yeah,
And that they're using your brand to
yeah,
advertise their business. And they're like,
yeah,
what? And I just
yeah,
typed their name in and their competitor come up and I'm like, see? And I think that some people aren't even aware of what this means to them from a perspective of the SEO and a perspective
yeah,
of validation in the market. I mean, that was what I
yeah,
meant, is that they
yeah.
say, I'm not interested. And you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. And normally the first thing I do, just to seem like not combative or just like throw them off, and it's like, yeah, maybe you don't. Like maybe you don't need this. Maybe your business is perfect and everybody just knows about you from their buddy, and your business, you couldn't take on any more customers or whatever. Maybe you don't. And then I'm just like, but I need to learn a little bit more about your business, to know whether that's the case or not. So, do you get business from Google? Are you at capacity? Do you not want to grow your business? The thing is that the most frustrating thing to me, which is crazy how many people I find, is like there are some entrepreneurs who are just, and local business owners who are just like, we're good the way we are. We don't want anything.
Yeah.
I've had people that I've reached out to and offered, especially in the beginning when I was trying to get my foot in the door and just get reviews and get case studies and stuff, that I offered to do crazy amounts of work for free. And, I'm just a young kid. I just want results, and the guy's like, oh, we're good. We don't want you. I'm like, do you want more business? Oh, we're good. We're good. And it's like, no, I don't even need a card or anything. Just let me work for you for free. No, we're good. We're content with the way it is. I'm like, okay,
Right.
sounds
And
good.
you know what?
Enjoy.
I think, and I think that it's interesting because at some point when they do come up to fruition that this is important, that, if you have them in your database that day when they get that bad review and they get
Yeah,
that, the email from you 2 weeks later and the guy's like, oh, I got to get that done. I talked to this guy. It didn't seem too bad. That's the whole, sort of like gestation period. Because some people are not ready in the
Yeah.
framework of where they are and understanding the importance until it's almost like insurance, right? I mean, we're kind of dealing with the same business, which is reviews are
Yeah.
kind of like business insurance. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you get one bad review, but it's buried 15 minutes later because you got 10 on top of it. So what are you worried
Yeah.
about if we can keep going with this?
Exactly.
Great. So I have the $100,000 question for you, which is on
Okay.
everybody's mind, which I'm
Let's do
sure
it.
is on your mind. Now, great. 172 customers billing at 200 bucks and all these other services, SEO, Facebook ads, selling them toasters. It could be anything, right? Um, I'm sure this is something that you've considered and something that makes sense and something that you probably go back and go, wow, you know, just need to put another wheel on the car. And
Yeah.
maybe it's a good thing that you're not doing it. And I think maybe there's a validation in that too. So I like, not necessarily it's a philosophy, but maybe it's just a way that keeps you in a position where the noise is not too loud, which is another thing that might be validated here. And I've used that word too many times in this podcast, so I'm going to stop using it. But I think the reality is that that might be even a better thing, which is that if it's just so stupid that it can't break, why fix it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think about, especially last year, like kind of last like 4 or 5 months, I think about upselling clients and all the things I could upsell to them, because I do say that nowadays when a company works with, when a local business owner works with a marketing company who says they're going to do something and then just does it, like, hey, we're going to get you probably 40, 50 reviews in the next 6 weeks, and then we get you 40, 50 reviews. They're like, you got the card on file, what else do you do? Right? Because they don't, a lot of them haven't had that experience with a marketing company that just does what they say they're going to do. And so it's really, I'd probably say 30-40% of our clients say, hey, do you do this, do you do that, do you do that, asking what additional services we do. And right now I've done a really bad job of not upselling them. The main reason being, for me right now, I feel like there's still so much that I need to improve for the review stuff. I feel like we need to have a better support. I feel like we need to have better support. I feel like we need to have better, sales process where we're consistently bringing on customers and it's not so reliant on my time on sales calls or onboarding calls. And so I just have, like, I don't want to add anything else on where I feel like the main thing isn't even good enough yet. It's good enough to get people results, but internally I know all the things that could be better. And so I haven't focused on that. When I was doing the agency stuff, I did a lot of SEO. And so I probably had 3 or 4 clients last year that were basically like, hey, I've heard what you talk about SEO. Like, how much would it be? And I throw out a price, kind of hope they say no to, and they said yes. And so I've upsold like 3 or 4 people into like some SEO services. But I don't try. I'm not trying to do, like, I just do sprints with them. So 2-3 months, nothing recurring, because I don't necessarily like that model. I just want to get them top of Google and then just keep getting them some reviews to keep them there. So yeah, it's very, very, very tempting, but to me, it's like the main thing's not even where I want it to be yet. So why would I go ahead and add on some other stuff and just dilute the brand and the service and the reputation we have right now? So
Well, you should talk to Bird Eye about that because they certainly went the other direction, right? I
yeah,
got a bill from
yeah,
Bird Eye one day for $5,000. I said, "What did you guys add on?" "Well, we have all these other services that you said you wanted, and we added them on." I said, "Well, that's nice, but please refund me." Um,
yeah.
so this has been an interesting conversation. I want to ask you two other questions that are very tactical, and maybe this
Hmm.
might help the listener, maybe in their brain. And I'm curious myself, and then we'll wrap it up. Um,
Hmm.
First tactical question is referral fee. Are you offering any of your clients a referral fee to refer someone to you? And if so, how much is it, and how much uptake are you getting for that?
Yeah, for sure. The one that I've had the most success with is just a free month. So giving them a free month of service if they send a client my way and they convert from a trial. And so I think that the free month it's one of those things where it's like I said about the loud customers. A lot of those loud customers are just going to share you no matter what. They're just loud and they're just going to talk about what they do and that it works. And so I would say that the free month has helped encourage that and helped. I don't think I'd have I don't think half my customer base would be referrals if it wasn't for the free month. Um, but I don't think it's the only reason people refer us. I think it's a lot of it depends on like the type of customer. If they're a loud customer, they're probably just going to refer you. But maybe that customer on the edge that might just like want to have the service for free, they are definitely a lot more likely to tell people about you when they do have that incentive. So I think it has been helpful, but it's not like make or break. And then
Right.
for people that have an audience, for people that have like an audience and social media following, I do have like a 30% recurring affiliate commission for them. Um, because a lot of them that have 10,000, 15,000 followers, they want to be able to build that MRR up. But with that, it's like tracking, and I really haven't had much success with that. It's mainly been the free month that gets people in the door.
Interesting. So, second tactical question for you. So, if I were in your shoes, I would look for, like you said, loud people in large groups, but
Mm-hmm.
perhaps to go find a channel that
Mm-hmm.
um, you could supplement their income to say, hey, something channel, whether it's home services or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, here's the link to my review services. Click it, and I'll pay you on the monthly recurring. As long
Mm-hmm.
as these people pay, I will pay you, right? In an
Mm-hmm.
affiliate relationship, so that you could literally hit up a channel, whether it's like the Nail Bangers Institute of Kansas, right?
Yeah.
And you say, here's the link, you guys, whoever, just refer it. If you talk to somebody, you get paid every month. I'm just
Yeah.
curious because to me, it sounds like you're sort of at a point where maybe some of these people who are, uh, let's just call them simple, because you're
Mm-hmm.
not trying to explain marketing. You're saying reviews. So it's not hard to tell somebody, yeah, just send it to me and I'll
Mm-hmm.
give, like, you'll end up with like, whatever, $50 a month, or make up some number. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what it would
Yeah.
be. And you could make a living out of this, if you sent me enough people.
Yeah. 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 No, I think I think about that all the time. Like, what's the one partnership that I can make that would double my business, next month? And I guess
Correct.
the question I think about all the time. And right now, I there's no good reason why I haven't done that. The reason I make up in my mind is that what I am scared of is I am scared of creating an affiliate relationship and then people just booking a sales call and me still having to do the whole sales onboarding process. Really, the way I could give a good referral fee, because we're like, it's high level. It's not a purebred SaaS. Like, we still have to integrate their accounts. There's still manual work we have to do. And so, how we could give them a good referral commission is if like these people are just card on file and booking a call to just get set up in like 30 minutes, right? That's how we could give them a great referral or affiliate commission. And I haven't had much success with sending people to a landing page or a webinar or a VSL or anything without a sales call. The way that I get, customers, to put their card on file and sign up right now without talking to me is like a lot of one-on-one referrals. And so I haven't had a lot of these like affiliates that do have a big audience of 10,000, 15,000 people. I haven't
Right.
had much success with them promoting my services. That's the deficiency for me. I need to get better at giving them the tools, giving them the things to say, giving them the scripts, giving them the content to do it. So it's definitely something I need to learn. But it's kind of the double-edged sword of like, I haven't had much success getting people to close without a sales call, except for one-on-one referrals. And I want to get high level and review harvest to a point where people can onboard themselves. But there's some bottlenecks there with integrations and stuff like, people aren't
Yeah.
tech
A2P is a
technology
bitch.
savvy. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that it still requires manual work the way we're doing it through high level, and so it's figuring that out. But that's definitely something that my theme for 2025 is like one to many. It's one to many. What's more stuff I can do that's one to many for Review Harvest specifically, because I built it to 170 customers. For most of it, it was one on one. It was one on one communication, one on one sales, one on one everything. And so figuring out
Sure.
what I can do one to many.
Look, if everybody could do this business, they do the business. And that's why you're a unique character in this space, is because you've kind of conquered what I would say seems like it's simple, but it's not. And then
Yeah.
second, you've been able to do this at such a young age, which is why people like myself look at this and go, this is what's possible if
Mm,
you just actually put the phone down and start working. And it's very interesting because I think that you see probably people in your age group that just tend to kind of skip through the process of life and just kind of just don't do this stuff, because
Yeah.
I've seen it myself, and I'm curious on what your this will be the last question, but what you feel like the opportunities for people that are in your range of age and your sort of demographic. Because to me, I think the energy that you have and the ability to not have to worry about maybe some significant financial issues that come later in age. I mean, it's almost like, wow, like you just took the advantage of taking what you learned from high level and just said, okay, good, go do it, and then didn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's such a great opportunity right now. Just I think marketing in general and building a marketing business for a young person. Although there are a lot of bad actors that look and talk exactly like me, they're 20 years old and they're just scamming people. Um, that's something that we have to combat against, and so it makes it harder for us. The people are trying to do it legit, but even if you fail and you do it for 5 years and you don't get to the great success that you hope to achieve, you will learn so much, like about business, about life, about marketing. Like one thing I got to at this point probably like last year, where I was like, you know what, like worst case scenario, I could just like walk into the local plumber shop and tell them all the stuff I know to do about marketing, and just ask them to pay me like $4,000 a month to be their employee, like be their full-time marketing person, right? Because like worst case scenario, I can go get a marketing job with somebody and like do all their marketing stuff and provide a whole bunch of value. If that was the only person I was working on, because of all the skills you've learned, right? And so you're going to learn a bunch of stuff, and it's a great opportunity. And I'm not special at all. Like I've made so many mistakes. I'm not like Mr. Valedictorian smart kid or whatever. I was just, what do they say? Uh, Naive enough or dumb enough to start and persistent enough to keep going or whatever. Like just keep showing up, and you can't stop, it won't quit. It's my favorite quote. You can't stop, it won't quit. So just don't quit and you won't stop.
So we talked about how you make money. We talked about the philosophy about this business. We talked about the acquisition customers and how you've kind of now transitioned into acquisition through different formats. We
Mhm.
talked about the general opportunity in the space. We talked about why or why not you might eventually probably sell other things to these clients.
Mhm.
We talked about a couple of tactical things, which included, the affiliate model and potentially some channel models. Is there
Mhm.
anything else you'd like to impart upon our listener or watcher today that would help them through their journey, and where people can get in contact with you if they'd like to talk to you, or if they'd like to sign up for your review service?
Yeah, for sure. No, I would say the one thing that I'd want to tell people that are kind of getting started or just in the stage where it's rough and they're not really seeing the results yet. Um, I wasted a lot of time, even the last like 18 months, while I kind of been on this growth track. I wasted a lot of time worried about scale and leverage and and like how can I get people to sign up without talking to me, all this stuff. When I'm so grateful now looking back on it that I spent so much time on the sales calls, that I spent so much time on the onboarding calls, that I spent so much time, cold emailing or cold texting. I didn't do much cold calling, but I'm so grateful that I did all that, because I have that trench knowledge and like can understand where the weeds are, where the hangups are, so that now I have the ability to kind of see the bigger picture. Okay, here's how it's even possible. Like one of the big stories I like to tell is when I first got started, I think I had like 25 clients. I was like, man, I'm doing this work onboarding. A lot of this stuff, a lot of this work I'm doing could be like automated with a form. So my wife was out of town. I spent like 3 days, probably 30 hours building this like onboarding form. I'm like, oh, this is going to onboard people automatically. This is going to be amazing. I'm just going to be able to click a button and it's going to work. The problem was it was a 45 question Google form, and nobody was going to ever fill it out. But I didn't know that until I sat on an onboarding call and tried to help somebody figure it out. And I was like, whoa, this took them an hour and 10 minutes to do. Like people aren't going to do this, how can I make it simpler? And so, don't worry about scale, just get in the weeds and look at everything almost like when a terrorist attack happens, we figure out how can this never happen again, right? If a third attack happens, like how can we prevent this from happening again? And so when you're on an onboarding call, you get a support email or whatever, you can look at it and say, okay, how can I prevent this from ever happening again, or this issue from ever coming up again? And that's going to allow you to kind of figure out how to make your operations a lot smoother, and get more people in the door. And so that's one thing. Just like don't worry about scale. Just focus on the one-to-one. You need to learn the trench stuff, anyways. And then the other thing I would say, to get connected with me, you can look at my YouTube videos. It's just Clay Lawrence on YouTube. And if you're interested in getting Google reviews for your business or one of your clients, just reviewharvest.com and you'll find us there.
Awesome, Clay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the discussion. It's really eye-opening, and thank you for being so open with all the discussion about how much you're making and how much you're, I guess, really for all of us, how much you're making me think about this as a business model. And I think people who watch this, you gotta think like, wow, like this is just monstrous. So thank you for bringing that into our attention, and very grateful for your time today.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Matt.